So with this being Palm Sunday, usually I do a talk about the metaphysical meanings of everything that's happening on this day. But I got sidetracked this week. And in our book study, we read about the 23rd Psalm. And somehow, some way, I remembered that I did a talk about the 23rd Psalm a few years ago. So I thought I'd bring that back. And of course, it's nothing like the original, but I mean, the Psalm is, but my notes are not. So we'll see where we go with it. The Psalm is an example of the feelings of contentment and assurance that David felt in his time of contemplation about his relationship with God. Which brings to mind a question. How often do you just sit back, get very still, away from all your distractions, and contemplate your relationship with God? You know, sometimes our lives are so busy we don't make time for that. Sometimes our lives are so distracted that we don't make time for that. It's pretty powerful stuff when you do. We come to realize when we do that we do have guidance, we do have assurances, we do have love, we do have peace, we do have everything that we could possibly need available to us in that moment when we're contemplating our relationship with God. You don't have to know how all this stuff comes to you. It's just when you stop and you slow down and you realize your relationship, you realize the truth, these feelings are easily available. Because they're attributes of God, as an expression of God, as a child of God, however you were taught that to be, you also have those attributes within you. So, anyway, in his contemplation, David came up with this prayer. And the way I understand it is this prayer basically came to him. It was almost some people refer to it as channeled, some people call it intuitively. Call it what you want. But David, contemplating his relationship with God, this is what he came up with to kind of explain that relationship to himself. The first line of the Lord's Prayer, the 23rd Psalm, is, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." I know when I was a little kid, I didn't know what the little colons and all those things meant, and I'm thinking, why would I not want God? Because I read it as, "The Lord is my shepherd, I don't want it." And it took me a while to get through that one. But anyway, we have to put ourselves into David's time period in a way to fully understand the meaning of this. In his day, some of the most important people in the world were shepherds, because shepherds protected, guided, nourished, healed one of the most valuable resources they had in that time. You think about how much of the people of that time period, think of how much of their life depended on the well-being of those herds of sheep. They got clothing from that. They got food from that. They got nourishment from that. They got money from that. A shepherd was pretty important. So the shepherd cares for his sheep lovingly and kindly. He leads his flocks to areas where food and water are plentiful. He leads them out of harm's way into places where shelter is available when needed. To get a grasp of just how important this shepherd is, the Bible mentions shepherds throughout the whole thing. And they're mentioned as a loving presence, a guiding presence, a protective presence, a keeper. The sheep do not worry. They've got the shepherd there to take care of them, to guard them, to feed them, to guide them. We too can drop all our worry. It's hard. It's hard, but it's only hard because of us. It's hard because we don't tune out the distractions. We don't tune in to the shepherd. When we still our mind, when we turn off all the distractions of the world, we are able to realize the guidance and the wisdom that is readily available to us. Through the channeling, if that's what you call it, through intuition, if that's what you call it, through knowing, however you phrase those things that come to you without an outside force bringing it. However you look at those, that's what's available when you still your mind. The next line of the Lord's Prayer of the 23rd Psalm, verse 2, He maketh me lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. This phrase speaks to the abundance that we will experience when putting our trust in God, when putting our trust in the divine, the creation that is already, that is omnipresent, that is omnipotent, that is omniscient. To lie down, that takes trust. To lie down is to be completely relaxed. Think of this in terms of your thought process, because that's where we experience everything anyway. Imagine for a moment that your thoughts are so relaxed you can just let them relax. And you can move to the still waters. Again, if we think about our thought process, still waters, if the waters are equal to our thoughts, to still our thoughts, we can become completely relaxed, completely trusting, completely reliant only on truth. The truth of God within you, the truth of God as you, the truth of God through you. The still waters, to some people, refer to the river of life, which is the place where there is no conflict, no turmoil. When there is no conflict or turmoil, there is no worry. There is no scarcity. There is no fear. And when you get to a place mentally that there is no worry, no scarcity, no fear, you can relax. So you see, this is one of those evolving cycles of life that works. On the other side, we get into those cycles of life where it's fear, worry, scarcity, and we just cycle out of control. But we have a choice. Depending on where we point our thoughts, we can jump on one cycle or the other. One is all fear, one is well-being, one is good, one is truth, one is illusion. You get to pick. Verse 3, He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for His name's sake. He restoreth my soul is not to mean that something is wrong. You know, when we think about restoring anything, we think, oh, something went wrong or something aged out, and we've got to restore it. That's not what this is, because our soul cannot be broken. Our soul cannot get old. Our soul cannot be in disrepair in any means. Our soul is absolutely perfect. What might have been better phrasing, at least in our knowledge today, would have been, He restoreth my awareness of my soul. Because we forget that that soul is there. That soul is that to me is God. That's the part of me that cannot separate from anything. That's the omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent me. That's my truth. That's the truth of God. It's also the truth of each of you. We're all one. That's what the soul is to me. The soul is just my expression as that whole. Okay? So, He restoreth my soul is more of He restoreth my awareness of truth. It means that recognition and awareness of your soul awakens again in your consciousness. Your thought processes start including thoughts of your soul, of your consciousness, of your awareness of truth. The soul cannot be restored while holding on to the past or the future. You know, we often look back, oh, I did this, oh, my soul must be really damaged. I know I have. Oh, I did that? Nope, no way I can ever be forgiven. That's that good old Baptist teaching. If you look at your past and you spend time in your past, you get hung up in your thought process. You cannot move forward in your thought process until you let go of that past stuff. Looking into the future, it's very easy, even if you're looking towards a very bright future, it's very easy to get caught up in, oh, someday this will be. It's okay to have goals. It's okay to have a bright outlook for the future. But where change happens, where things heal, where your soul is recognized again, is right here, right now. Because if you don't get clear right here, right now, there will always be a block of what's coming. There will always be a block of truth that's happening now. You've got to get your mind and your thoughts into this moment, right here, right now. Because in this moment, all is good. Truth is a cleansing agent, if you will. When you recognize the truth of you, that you are one as God, with everyone, you realize goodness in you, as you, through you. The next part of that statement was, He leadeth me in paths of righteousness for His name's sake. This is to follow the pathway of righteousness, which means right useness. Righteousness, in many religious teachings, became a right to judge. And that's the way it's used in most cases. We sit back and we judge because we are right. I saw an example of that the other night. And my first temptation was to speak to it. And then I realized to speak to it would be judging. That I would have been doing exactly what they were, just about a different topic. And I had to let go of the emotion around it. This righteousness When you hear that word, think of it as right useness. God has given us truth. And it's up to us to use it right. And if you struggle with what that means in any given situation, ask yourself these questions. Does this expand love? The way I'm thinking about this, the way I want to react to this, does this expand love? If the answer is no, don't do it. If the answer is yes, do it. Ask yourself also, does this expand peace? Does this expand goodness? It might take you that much longer to respond than it would if you didn't do all of that. But chances are your response will be aligned with God, with truth. Right useness, to put it more simply, is to correct our thinking, to align our thinking with divine mind, to be in harmony with the universe or God. And if you look at the sign above us, God is love. So it's right back to the questions that I said to ask yourself. As we allow our consciousness and our thoughts to align with God's righteous path, God is love, or God's guidance, God is love, we are restored, body, mind, and soul. You know, we make this spiritual thing kind of difficult sometimes. It's like, oh, how can I be spiritual? How can I be spiritual? Take a picture of me pointing to this sign. That'll be your answer for everything. I could have just made this way simpler and not spend any time preparing. I could just come in here on Sunday morning and sit here and point at that. I probably need to walk in here and remember that more often, because I know how to do a lot of this stuff, but it doesn't mean I do it all the time. Verse 4. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. The shadow of death is merely the illusion of life, the material illusion of life. We walk through the shadow of death as we perceive life from this material, through our material senses, and we believe that to be our truth. We believe that this material world comes to an end, and then that's the end of us. It is when we believe that the material experience is the truth that we fall into this valley of the shadow of death. We must remember God has never forsaken us, never left us. God is within us. And it's real, we kind of have to reshape our vision of God. Because I know that when I fall into the old teachings of this elderly dude on a cloud with a long beard, it's very easy to think of God as leaving or not being there. But when I realize God is a presence, God is the energy that makes up everything, I can then realize there's no way God could ever leave. There's no way God could ever be absent. But this shadow, this valley of the shadow of death, that's what's happening as we get so focused on the material world that we think God has left. And that would be a very dark place. No matter how you perceive God, if you perceive God as not there, that becomes a very dark place. God, again, has never forsaken us. We cannot wander away from God. That was one thing that stuck with me a long time is I can't remember what I did now to cause this little speech from our preacher, but I was told one time, you can't hide from God. You want to bet? Yeah. You can't. God is everywhere present, so You can't do that, of course. Divine will, divine good exists always, everywhere, in every person. Our awareness of that divine will, of that divine good, exists according to our understanding and acceptance of it. So if you think that this world is a very bad place, help yourself out by contemplating. Do what David did. Contemplate your relationship with God and start looking at what good is. And allow that to become your focus. David wrote in that last verse, or that fourth verse there, about the rod and the staff. He did say, they comfort me. Now most people think of the rod and the staff as beaten. You know, I'm going to slap that sheep and make it go where it's supposed to go, or I'm going to use it to smack somebody upside the head. That's not what the rod and staff were used for. They gently tapped the sheep to guide them where they wanted them to go. The rod and staff were tools used by the shepherd to protect the sheep, and they represent tools or divine law that are put in place for us to be used as our guidance, our protection. Verse 5, thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. The first part of this line speaks to the gifts of life, including health, happiness, joy, and the experience of living that are laid out before us when we're, as we wait to accept God. They're there. Everything we need is there. Our acceptance of God is the acceptance of these gifts that are already laid out for us. Our acceptance of God comes through our awareness of God and our awareness of all that we have before us. Good can be found everywhere. It is our acceptance of good that makes it a gift, that makes it real, that makes it truth. If we look at that, if we open our eyes to truth, we realize abundance in everything that we could possibly need. Love, joy, good, peace. There is an abundance of that. And it depends on where you look, on what you'll find. If you look within to truth, you will find every one of those. You will replenish your soul, your being with those. And then when you open your eyes and look into this world, you will still be able to hold on to those. If you look out there first, it's very difficult to get yourself in a position that you can ever come back and look within to find the abundance of good within you. Once you look out there, it's like, man, you're sucked in. Oh, if I let go of what I'm seeing out here, I ain't never going to be able to fix it. Guess what? You're not going to be able to fix it as long as you're looking out there. Also in that verse, he talks about the oil. That oil signifies complete, perfect, whole hospitality. Welcome. My cup runneth over speaks to God's limitless abundance. God wishes us to have everything we desire and withholds nothing from us. We get caught up in looking at the material things that we desire. And if we can't touch it, oh, it's not mine. If you close your eyes and you experience that thing, whether you ever touch it or not, it's yours. But forget about the material world first. Go within. What are the experiences that you desire? The love, the joy, the peace, the satisfaction, whatever it might be. Those are within you right now in abundance. You fill yourself with those, you open your eyes, and that material thing that you wanted either is not so important anymore or manifest before you. Don't go within so that you can get that. Go within so you can get what's within. Open your eyes and let material world do what it's going to do. The next verse, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Goodness will always be available to us, and there will always be mercy for our mistakes. And I wish you could see how I wrote it down. It's mistakes. We think of mistake when it's all one word as something horrible. Oh, I made a mistake, I'm going to die. I made a mistake, I can't ever be forgiven. Think of mistakes as mistake. I just kind of missed the mark on this one. I get a do-over. Because there's very few places in life you don't get a do-over if you decide you want one. There will always be goodness and mercy available to us. The presence of goodness, the love and peace of God will never be kept separate from us. The loving presence of God and the law of good are our foundations. So take that to heart. Remember the Lord's Prayer. Read it and experience it within. Ernest Holmes, and I know I've said this before, Ernest Holmes said it best when he said, anything you read in the Bible, read it as an inner journey. Then you can start grasping it. You can start realizing the true meanings of it. As long as we look at it as a historical thing, we're going to find some beautiful stories. We're going to find some scary stories. But we're going to find things that are out there somewhere. Read everything as an inner journey. Read the Lord's Prayer as an inner journey. So to close today, instead of having a prayer, I'm just going to read the Lord's Prayer, and if you remember it, feel free to speak it with me. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me in all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. And so it is. Amen.